I was like, oh, Dharamsala, what's special about that place? Or McLeod Ganj. And they were like, oh, it's great. I mean, they have amazing chocolate cakes. And the Dalai Lama lives there. Then I was thinking, I don't know where the Dalai Lama is. I heard Dalai Lama, but chocolate cake, oh, craving some chocolate cake. So I basically ended up traveling to McLeod Ganj for the cake. And I remember waking up the next morning after I had arrived there in the evening, and I had this really strong feeling, I've come home. So my name is Kelsang Wangmo. I was born in Germany, born and raised in Germany. I come from a village near Cologne, Bonn, between Cologne and Bonn. I was just a normal kid, a normal teenager. I wasn't specifically interested in anything religious. I guess I kind of liked Christianity when I was little, but I didn't practice it as such. And once I was a teenager, it was all like, no, didn't interest me at all. And then I finished high school, and I was slightly younger than most of my classmates, so I felt like I had a lot of time before starting university. My plan was actually to study medicine, but I thought to put it off a little bit and go travel, spend some time and see the world. And I also had this sense, oh, that can't be it. I finish school, next is university, then I get married, I have kids, and then I die. I have kids and then I die. So that was kind of scary. It seemed scary that, it was so predictable. And so I thought, yeah, I'll travel a little bit and see what else is there. And so I took off, and I was really scared first just to, travel on my own. And I went to Israel, actually, to be in a kibbutz, spent some time there. I traveled a little in Japan. I worked a little bit. I ran out of money, so I had to do some work. Thailand, Indonesia, and then finally ended up in India. And it was already quite hot in the south because it was like March, April. And so I decided to head north for Varanasi and then Manali. And I got to Manali, spent some time there, very beautiful in the mountains. And I remember overhearing some people on the next table. You know how it is when you travel, you meet other people, you hear them talk, and you kind of ask them, about things. Anyway, so I heard them talk about this place called Dharamsala. And so once I got there, that was actually supposed to be my last stop. I wanted to go home after that. Start university. My parents were getting nervous, time was running out. And I remember waking up the next morning after I had arrived there in the evening, and I had this really strong feeling, wow, this is so special. It wasn't like a calm place in itself. It was kind of busy, not as busy as it's now, but still a lot of people. But I decided to stay a little longer. Yeah, I stayed in one of the villages. I met some girls from Israel, so we became friends. We were just, hanging out. And then I heard about a course on philosophy, on meditation first, and then on Buddhism. First it was on just meditation, introducing Buddhism. So I really liked that. I really liked the Four Noble Truths. Wow, that makes so much sense. But of course I had thousands of questions. And I took another course, and it went on and on, learning more and more about Buddhism. I had this thought, well, I want to do this more intensely. I just don't want it to be like a hobby, but maybe instead of studying medicine in university, I study Buddhism. That was kind of the first thought. I could spend more time. I could actually spend my life doing something with Buddhism. And also the thought, well, I could become a nun. Oh, no, I can't become a nun. And it's really funny because the first time I saw Western monks and nuns, I remember the first monk I ever saw, a Western monk, it actually made me angry. I thought, oh, this is so weird. Why do they have to dress like a Tibetan? Why can't they just be themselves? It actually got me a little angry. And I saw the first Western nun I thought, oh yeah, of course she became a nun. Who would have married her? No hair. I just had no idea. This was before I studied Buddhism, which I usually say, and it's true, it's very helpful when people look at me in a really weird way, because I totally know where they're coming from. But anyway, Then later on, once I started studying Buddhism, it made more sense to become a nun, but it was still really scary. Like that decision, it's like a lifetime commitment. And also because I had only finished high school, I thought, well, if I become a nun now, and then 10 years from now, I mean, I can always get, give back my vows. Like people get married for their whole life, but they can always get divorced. So I knew that was possible, but I thought, what am I going to do? Got no education other than high school. So I was really worried, and I wanted to do it my whole life. I wanted to be sure. So it took me a few months, but eventually I decided I really want to do this. So I did. I became a nun. But I had heard when you become a nun, the best thing is to meditate. Second best is to study, etc. And I thought, I want best. Just best for me. I want to be the second Milarepa. So I took some kind of meditation hut that, wasn't cave-like, but, it had muddy walls, so that was okay. I had a gas stove first, but I gave that away because I heard the meditators all have kerosene stoves. So I had this kerosene stove and it was pumping, and my nostrils were always black. I felt like I'm a real meditator. And I'd get up at 3 o'clock in the morning to meditate. And by 5, I was in bed again. It was too early. I couldn't do it. And I didn't know what to meditate on. The little I had studied was just not enough. I decided to learn Tibetan. And I went to McLeod Ganj. I was up near Tushita in some area called Elysium House. So I went to Dharamsala, to McLeod Ganj. I had a nun friend. And she said, well, go to the Institute of Buddhist Dialectics. They have some really good teachers there. And so I went there, and it was actually, I met Geshe Kelsang Wangmo, he was a student at the Institute at the time. And he took me to my teacher, who became my teacher, Geshe Kelsang. So, I asked him, would you teach me Tibetan? I didn't know he was actually a philosophy teacher, so I was like asking him to teach me Tibetan. But he was like, well, I'll teach you Tibetan, okay, but through the debate. I'll teach you how to debate. And I was like, yeah, whatever. I mean, what did I know about debate? So I was like, anything as long as I learn Tibetan and I can read the texts. And on that same day, he started to teach me how to debate. And I thought, oh, that's great. Wow, that's an amazing tool. I mean, I realized after a few weeks. And as it happened, a new course started, a new class started, and he said, well, do you want to join it? But I still didn't know Tibetan. I could debate and could say, hi, how are you? And that was it. So I was like, okay, the debate part is okay. Everything else might be a problem. And so I joined the program and basically had to learn Tibetan and, well, debating at the same time. A little bit, I could debate. I'd taken a few weeks of classes, but now I had this challenge to also learn how to debate, to speak. But slowly I picked it up and I found this tool of debate. It's like nothing else. I mean, I've never studied, in school, of course, they had different techniques and different methods, and some more effective, some less, but this was one of the most effective tools I'd ever encountered, and in so many ways. In terms of understanding, gaining an understanding of the teachings, of course, but also in terms of one's own practice. Anyway, so I had the great fortune to complete my studies, did the studies, took about 17 years. And I never thought that becoming a Geshe was an option. I knew this was for the monks, and okay, that was just my situation. In this lifetime, I couldn't do it. But at some point, yeah, it was like a few weeks before I got the degree, the administrators of the IBD, my teachers, in collaboration with the private office, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, the Office of Religious Affairs. So they all apparently decided to give the degree to my class. And as I happened to be the only nun in that class at that time, and that way I got the degree. And that's it. So I got the degree, and ever since that time, I've been, trying to share with others what I've learned, and also offer translation to some lamas and geshes.